Hi everyone, Ainsley here from Small Fry Creations. This week we're going to improve the fence from this to this. Let me show you how we did it. We're outdoors today tackling an outdoor project, and our plan is to paint the fence. And we're going to use the Wagner W590, which I picked up from Bunnings for $238. I've never used a paint sprayer before, so we can learn together. Our first step is we need to prep the fence. So I need to go through and get rid of all of the cobwebs. I also need to prime all of the metal section of the paint of the fence and get rid of some of these bushes that you can see behind me. So that's going to be our first step. Then we can unpack the Wagner sprayer and see what it's all about and put it through its paces to see what it's like.
Like I said, I have never used a paint sprayer before, but I'll share what I have learnt throughout the process. I'm sure I'll make some mistakes, but that just means I'm trying. Our first step was prep. I removed the plants that were hanging over the fence. I'll add in here that I had spoken to the neighbours about the plants and we both agreed that they needed to come down as it was causing damage to the fence. I used a stiff broom brush to remove all of the spider webs and we were ready to get stuck in.
Our fence is all prepped and now we're up to the point where we actually get to have some fun and use the sprayer. I've gone ahead and unpacked it to have a look at exactly what is involved, and I have also tried it with water on the brick wall behind me just to see what it's all about. With this particular pack you get two sprayers, one for indoors and one for outdoors. Obviously today we're going to use the outdoor one. I'm also going to dilute the paint by 10%. Some people say you don't have to, some people say you do. I'm just going to do it because I don't think it can hurt. I need to also prime the metal, so we thought why not just prime the whole fence and go ahead and do that, because then I can get some practice in the spraying as well. So then when it comes to the top coat, it looks really good. So that's what I'm going to go ahead now and do. Fill up this guy and dilute him by 10%, and then we'll get to the fence and we'll spray some undercoat.
I think this sprayer from Wagner is middle of the road, but I think it is fantastic value. I will say upfront, if you purchase this sprayer and only use it for this project, I still think it would be a worthwhile investment. I took the opportunity though to add the tool to the shop. When it comes to the sprayer, there is some overspray. We used a piece of thin MDF scrap and held it up behind the fence to avoid getting any overspray on the neighbour's fence.
So I just want to jump in here real quick. We've been using the machine for about 30 minutes and so far so good. We're very happy with it. But a couple of tips that we've picked up so far. You want to be closer to whatever you are painting than you think you need to be. About 5 to 15 centimeters is what they recommend, which I didn't realize is much closer than I thought. The section that I painted behind me is taking me about 20 minutes so far, but I'm getting quicker as I move down the fence as I learn. So far super happy with it. We're going to keep moving down the fence with undercoat. I do think undercoating the fence has been quite helpful because it's going to seal the wood. This timber was never sealed when it was installed, so this will help seal it, and hopefully when we go to apply the top coat it'll make it that much easier.
I am glad we undercoated the fence as it gave us a great opportunity to learn how to use the sprayer. The first tip that I will pass on is keep a damp cloth close by so that you can regularly clean out the nozzle. This will avoid any paint buildup.
All right, it's the next day and we are getting set up to paint the color onto the fence. And for us, we're going to use Dulux Basalt, which matches the render on the front of our house. So far, we've spent about 4 hours, 5 litres of paint to paint about 30 metres of fence. So in terms of using the paint sprayer, that includes learning how to use it. So I think we're doing pretty well on time. I'm going to mask up the concrete behind me, and you'll notice that I haven't done anything with the grass. Firstly, how do you mask off grass? And secondly, I haven't mowed the lawn. So at the end of the project, I will do that. Hopefully most of that will go. If not, it will grow out. I'm not that worried. So we're going to go ahead and get that masked up behind me, and then we can start to paint the top coat on.
My plan was to tape down the plastic, but as you can see, this did not work, so I had to change tack as it was still quite early in the morning and the concrete was not dry. I started on a different part of the fence and came back to this part later when the temp had warmed up a little. We repeated the process with the MDF behind the fence and we made our way along. Working in a team for this process made life a whole lot easier. I will add in here, I'll leave some links below to some videos that really helped get me started. I believe if I can do it, you can do it too. The sprayer, when full of paint, does get a little heavy. It's not too bad, but I would recommend holding the sprayer with 2 hands. This will mean you last the day and you have better control. I do think undercoating the fence helped with the coverage of the colour and made the second coat much easier. We used drop sheets around the garden to protect the areas we didn't want to paint. Another tip I will pass on is set yourself up a little refill station near where you are painting. This will mean you are efficient and it will be quicker when you need to refill. The sprayer comes with a couple of things that you can adjust. The spray nozzle rotates, and depending on what direction you are painting, you will need to change the nozzle. This is helpful to get the most coverage and is also handy that you can put it on a diagonal when trying to get in those tight spots. To change how wide your spray is, there are two dials you can play with. There is a power dial on top, and then there is a dial on the outdoor sprayer. The more power, the bigger the spray. There are some suggestions in the manual and on the sprayer, but I think it is just best to try and see what you think is best.
Coat 1 is all done, and I'm not gonna lie, it's hard work. It's hard on our lower back, it's hard on our arms, but I don't think that would change compared to the roller, compared to a sprayer. So it is what it is, it's hard work and we've got to get the job done. Some things that I have learnt, because I don't think I should call them tips because I'm learning as I go along, given that I've never used it before. The air power on the top, you want it to be down at a minimum when you're cutting in. And I do think cutting in is a good idea, but having it down at minimum power just reduces the amount of overspray, which I think is helpful when you're cutting in. Once you've done all the cutting in and you're up to the big pit where you're just going up and down, I suggest you turn the air power up to max. We have had it on max for most of the day, and I think it helps just speed up the process. The other thing is I'm not thinning the paint at all anymore. I was at the beginning thinning it by 10%, but I'm not anymore. My paint seems to be thin enough, and I think the paint coming out of the spray is actually better, and again, it reduces the overspray not having it thinned out. If you do need to thin it out, the sprayer comes with this fantastic little yellow tool which actually just guides you where you need to fill it up. So you fill it up to one of these notches on here, and then the rest of it just needs to, the next notch needs to be water, and then just give it a really good stir if you do need to thin it out. But I didn't have to do that at all. Another thing I did was I kept a damp cloth around so that we continually wiped away the nozzle. You do tend to get build up of paint as you're going through, so just keep wiping it away. You'll notice when you need to do it because it starts spitting and spurting all over the fence. So now we're up to the point where we need to do our second coat, which we're going to get going on. You probably, to be honest, could get away with one coat, but we are going to do it once and do it right, and we are going to do the second coat. So that's what we're going to work on now.
Now, I did not record putting on the second coat, as on the video you couldn't see any difference, and that would just be very boring to watch. After the second coat, I mowed the lawn and sat back and admired the hard work. Overall, it took us 11 hours from start to finish to undercoat and apply 2 top coats to 30 metres of fence. This includes me filming to show you all. Like I said at the top, I am really impressed with this sprayer, and I think it is a great investment. I haven't used the other spray nozzle at this stage, but look forward to seeing it in my future projects. I hope you have all liked this video, and if you have, help me out by hitting those subscribe and like buttons, and I'll see you on the next one.